Hello everybody, welcome back to Future Fiber. This is a channel where I talk about all the crafty things that I do. It's mostly knitting, but today we'll be doing something different. We'll be going online shopping. I haven't bought new clothes in approximately a year, and I also always wear the same things. As you can tell, this is an outfit that I've repeated at least 5 times on this channel already. So I don't really know what's in style anymore, really. And I live in a society, and sometimes I do want to look good, and I want to have more options. So I wanted to see what was out there. What the normal people who are not deeply entrenched in the knitting and crafting world, what are they wearing? And I'm not sure if I'll actually buy anything here. The answer is probably I won't buy anything, and then I'll just get inspiration. A couple months back, I did a little bit of a poll on my Instagram to see where people buy their knitwear and if that's changed at all since they started knitting. And the results were pretty interesting. Mainly it goes into these 3 buckets. One is, since I started knitting, I haven't bought any ready-to-wear knitwear. The second category was I make really nice things with my hand knitting, but then I buy things at stores that I could kind of, put through the wash or really put through the meat grinder of daily life. They are choosing to buy at more affordable places like H&M or other fast fashion places. The third category is they would thrift most of their knitwear. Some of the reasons that I heard around this was that vintage knitwear is a lot better in terms of construction and material quality, which I think that's true with clothing in general. I think there's a lot of conversations around the decrease in clothing quality over the years, but we're not really here to, talk about that. This is mostly for fun. So I kind of gathered all those inputs from people and where I used to shop before I started my no-buy / knitting journey, really. Some of the stores that I used to shop at a lot before I really stopped buying clothes was Another Stories and COS, which is just like upscale H&M. This was at the time where I feel like greenwashing was really at its peak. So I also shopped at more sustainable clothing stores like Reformation and Everlane. And then another store that I frequented was like Madewell. So that was kind of like my general vibe. So let's take a look. The first store that we'll start with is H&M. The other 2 brands that I'm looking at are pretty popular in the US, but I don't know if they're as popular in other parts of the world. This is where I used to shop, so we're going to look at it. And right off the bat, there seems to be 87 derivatives of the petite knit Marseille sweater. I know it's like the striped sweaters are a classic staple piece, but this is a lot of the same thing. When I'm looking at the stuff and I'm like, how is a sweater like this under $20 in this economy? I don't really understand. So immediately, I'm thinking like petite knit Marseille sweater kind of looks like this, but the sleeves seem to be just straight up and down, which I don't know. I guess that's a choice. If you're eating any kind of soup, your sleeves are going to be in that soup. Okay, so why do they explain acrylic like the synthetic fiber made from oil of fossil resource? Who doesn't know what acrylic is made from? But how many people actually care about the composition of their clothes, I wonder? Before I started knitting, knitting or sewing my clothes, I definitely didn't care that much. This is the same thing as the first one, but it seems to be a little bit different because if you look, that's supposed to be like brioche, right? And then this one has a folded over collar, so I guess the details are a little bit nicer on this one. Between the 2 that we just saw, I will get this over the other one because I feel like this will last longer. And then it has the neckline detail like this one. The other one just kind of looked like it didn't have any decreases or shaping on the neck. It just kind of cast off. So I think this one's a little bit nicer. Okay, pointel knit cardigan. This guy, I feel like they're having a lot of crochet button downs that are popular. I saw this a lot with the men's, but I guess women's versions are also cropping up. This can't be crochet. I think this is knit. Yeah, that looks like knit. That's kind of holy. So something like this might be nice as a beach cover-up kind of thing for the summer. Oh, another knit cardigan that's got this kind of lace style. Maybe I'm just thinking of the one from Knitting for Olive. I forget what it's called. It's got like a leaf lace pattern. Maybe that's the one that I'm thinking of. But once again, with these straight up and down sleeves, is that the trend, or is that just because they didn't want to do decreases on the fabric? I don't know. Some vests, basic round neck cardigans, pretty simple stuff. Like, I don't know if this is any sort of real thing, but I was watching some YouTube videos, and then they were mentioning like geek chic is the next fashion trend or whatever. Like, okay, so just dressing like a librarian but being a model is what I got from that. This only works if you're like 5'8". This is a weird pose. Like, why are you stretching out the sweater like that? That's very strange. Okay, wrap cardigan. Wrap cardigans, I feel like, have been pretty big in knitting too since last year. This is the way that it's styled is, I guess this is kind of like ballet core or whatever, with the ballet flats and the socks. I don't really like the cardigans, the wrap cardigans, where they don't have holes in the sides to put the strings through. Yeah, see, you can see here the string is just supposed to come around the back and then just tie on the side. Yeah, I don't love that. Also, what is that fabric? Let's look at the materials. Polyester, acrylic, wool, spandex. I feel like this is gonna pill like crazy. I can already feel what kind of material it would be like on the skin. I bet it's soft, but I feel like this will pill really quickly. But I like the style with the balloon sleeves. But I think if I knit another wrap top, I will probably do something similar with the fit where it's like more oversized, and I would just wear something that's with it underneath. Okay, let's keep scrolling. All right, these are oh, okay. This, where have we seen this before? This looks very familiar to me. Ladder stitch look knit sleeveless top. Doesn't this look like Rose Knitwear has one of these things? Like scribble top, I think it's what it's called. I'm pretty sure some other people have also done this, but this is at a point where it makes me wonder, like, what inspired what? Like, who did it first? Because I have a hard time believing H&M did it first. I guess I just like consume a lot of these knitwear things through the designers that have designed them, and in the context of like Instagram. And then for clothing inspiration and things like that, I generally get that from like influencers and not really from online clothing stores anymore. So this is really interesting to see. Is there anything else that's interesting? Lots of oversized stuff. I also like, this is a pet peeve with me and online shopping malls. I don't like it when they have different colorways of the same item. They put the same item like 3 times, but showing the different colors. For example, like this one, we just saw this in a different color, but why am I seeing it again? Like, stop wasting my time. Half zip sweater. Okay, zip sweaters are still going strong, I guess. We have a couple of options, I guess, for if you wanted to hand knit this. This is a raglan, so I guess petite knit zipper sweater is a classic one. Le Pole also has a zipper sweater that's got thicker stripes, and I think it's also drop shoulder. I like the details on that one as well. So those are some knit alternatives, hand knit alternatives. But I like the style of this. I like the wider raglan. This looks to be a little bit more high quality, I guess. And it's also $40, which is double the price of all the other stuff that we've seen. Oh, this is like a square neck. Oh, and it's got some chesticle details. But this is like supposed to be an oversized sweater, so I don't know why they have this. Like, I would understand if it's supposed to be the tighter fitting and you have like the cup detailing increase. I feel like a couple of knitwear designers have square neck sweater designs like this. I'm blanking on who exactly, but if I can remember them, I'll put them up on the screen somewhere. Yeah, I guess the puff sleeves here are, well, it's not exactly puff because it looks like it's just straight decreases. I feel like I would have done a puffy puff style rather than this, but yeah, not bad. I don't know. I guess with knitwear, like people don't really get that creative. Oh, that's different. It's different, but I don't know if I like it. Okay, let's click. I'm just this is gonna just turn into me nitpicking. I like the contrast detail. Like this is supposed to be more ruffly, girly kind of silhouette, right? Maybe they tried to do that with this kind of repeating open, a little bit more open textured fabric as well. But I don't know if it's really speaking to me. Just kind of looks like they slapped on the ruffles. I think if maybe this was done with like a fuzzier fabric, like, or fuzzier fiber, like mohair or something else, it might have been better. I just don't really like how the ruffles are sticking out directly from the shoulder. I feel like depending on your body type, maybe it wouldn't be the best option. Like it would be a very bad option for me. Acrylic and cotton. Okay, yeah, like I think if it's cotton and acrylic, I would imagine the sweater to be a little bit heavy. I would imagine like for something like this, you want something a little bit more lightweight. So yeah, like mohair or something with a little bit more drape, like alpaca, I think would be really nice. Or if you're looking for like something like this synthetic fiber, I know they make like synthetic fibers that are lighter than acrylic. Like maybe you could do a brushed acrylic. I don't know. There could have been other ways to do this. Oh yeah, this kind of stuff has been pretty popular for a while. I think this tie front detail. This, I don't know why it's under knits, because it's like a knit fabric thing. There's a ton of cardigan designs that recently came out, I think, that have this detail. Star-crossed knits, she just came out with, or maybe it's still in testing. She has something similar where it's tie front. Pretty basic stuff. I mean, we are also heading into spring, so I really should have done this in last fall when there would have been a lot more like knitwear stuff. Okay, so I think that's enough of H&M. What did we see so far? We saw a lot of stripes. Let's see if we have better luck with some different designs on Madewell. Okay, we are going to the sweaters section. Right off the bat, more open, kind of like netted lacework style. I mean, a bunch of designers have done designs like this, but I'm sure you could find a lot of crochet variations. But also the famous Look at My Holes by James and Watts, I think, could play nicely here. Orange is a choice. Orange in the spring? I don't know. But I guess Madewell's color palettes have always been very... How do I describe this? Depending on when you go into Madewell, some of their stuff could look a little Christian Girl Autumn. If you know, you know. Summer knitting. We're looking at summer. Okay, red. I think red really is like, why is this $336? What's happening here? Why is this so expensive? We're seeing a lot of ribbing that's not 1x1. This is kind of 2x2. I'm sure it's more than that, but you know, like if you were hand knitting this with the DK weight anything, it would be a 2x2. Drop shoulder, basic, cardigan. I think it's cute. Like the neckline, this one's rounded, but kind of reminds me of the Eva cardigan by Petite Knit. All right. I gotta zoom out. We're a little too close. I don't understand why this is so expensive. This is a collaboration or something? Organic cotton. Cotton? I don't know. I feel like this will be really heavy. Like, I feel like it'll stretch out over time. Like, I would be afraid of the neckline stretching. All right, we have another zip striped cardigan. We're going to gloss over that real quick because we saw a lot of those. Another vest style, but this one's like waffle stitch almost, like checkered. I like that. Okay, polos. Raglan polos. I mean, obviously, Mod Tee by Petite Knit comes to mind, but I think Marco Polo by Creadia Knits also got released, so that might be a little bit closer to this fit if you wanted a similar style. I personally don't really look good in fits like this, because this is almost like kind of like baby tee, you know? It's a little bit like closer fitting, and then the sleeves are a little bit shorter. If the sleeves are, for me, the best sleeve length is like here. Like this is a little bit too short for me. Like I don't love how that makes me look all the time. But I think this is cute. I like that the stripes are kind of this, the darker stripes are like, what is that called? Marled yarn. The fiber's got a little bit of a halo to it, which is interesting. Okay, this is what I noticed also with like sweaters, commercial sweaters that have this like collar detail. They're never double-sided. Well, they are double, well, what am I saying? They are reversible, but they're usually made with just like a 1x1 rib and not a double knitted collar like a lot of hand knitted polos are. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it's more work that way? Question mark? Yeah, I mean with machine knit you get a pretty neat edge, but I don't know, with my 1x1s the edges are never neat, so maybe that's another problem too. 40% acrylic, 30% recycled polyamide, 30% alpaca. Okay, so we're seeing like different fibers now, but I don't know, for like, does that add up to 100? Yes, I can't do math. Dry clean? Can't catch me dry cleaning anything. Basic stuff. Stripe. Oh, we have a sweater tank. Oh. Oh, is that gonna load? Okay. This, right off the bat, Stella T by Tweety Sheep. Stuff comes back around. Like, I feel like maybe a couple years ago we would have looked at this, or I would have looked at this and be like, this is like what comes with a set with like a cardigan and tank set. But now this is back in fashion, so, you know. But I feel like you could probably find something similar at the thrift. This is a knit fabric that they have seamed up, I think, because the decreases here, or the lines here don't match. So I think this is, they just cut a piece of fabric and put it together. But you could hand knit a similar vibe if you wanted. $60. Oh, yes. I feel like this kind of style also has been like pretty, I've seen it a lot, mostly in like Korean fashion influencer circles, like last year. But this kind of two-way zip shirt / close fitting cardigan kind of thing, like typically styled like this, where you unzip the bottom a little bit. But this is, once again, I'm pretty sure this is also knit fabric that they cut into. That's like a distinction I feel like that knitters make, but maybe for a lot of people like a sweater means like sweaterish material, and not so much if it has been like knit as the garment. I guess people don't really think about that too hard. Oh, we have a vest, bestseller. I don't know about this basket pattern specifically, but there's tons of knitwear patterns that came out last year, and I think continuing to come out this year that have similar details, right? With like a little button or hook and eye closure. It looks like it's got, well, this is like folded over knit, but you could probably achieve something similar with an I-cord all around. I think the first thing that comes to mind that's similar from the hand knitting world is probably the park vest, is it called? I think that's a very similar look. This is very cropped. I would not be able to wear this guy without anything underneath. I just don't know if I feel that comfortable with something so cropped. I guess it depends on what size you wear. This is another thing. It's like with these commercial stuff, like I feel like they don't grade it that great. The grading isn't great. Where you can see on the larger model, like this is supposed to be the proper size, but it's gaping at the bust here. And it also seems like the armhole should be cut a little bit lower at the larger sizes, and then it's pulling up more, so it looks more cropped versus on a model with a smaller chest. I mean, that's just like I guess how it is. But it's like with hand knits, you have the ability to change that as you knit it, you know? So that's a little bit disappointing. So I guess vests are a thing that will be here to stay for the season. Okay, we got more like tank top looking things here. This mock neck tank, this is definitely reminding me, it's very 90s, right? Like with the style, with the jeans, lower cut jeans. This is very giving me 90s. I could never wear jeans like this because I don't want to have to worry about my, you know, the behind showing every time I crouch or sit down anymore. I already suffered enough through that in middle school, so enough. Side tangent, but I think this looks a lot like the Tangent top by Knit Rohi. Oh, I like how this is styled with a mini skirt. I guess kitten heels are back. I don't really like flip-flops. So I don't know how I feel about kitten heel flip-flops. But I think the vibe is cute overall. I would have done these with like different kitten heels, but I don't know. I'm not the stylist here. I like the side split detail. Yeah, I think this is cute. What is this? Tencel cotton? I think that makes sense for like you're probably going to be wearing it in the summer or like in the spring. So if you're going to be sweating into it, it might as well as be something that you can wash very easily. Although Tencel, I would be worried about like it's keeping its shape and stretching back in. So, okay, so it's got elastane, so it'll be alright, I guess. One last nitpick thing I will say about this. I don't like how the edges are coming up like this. I think that's because, oh, you can tell here, they just like flipped the edge in and then just either serged it or just sewed it down around the armhole. That's why this is flipping up like that. It's the little things, right? Like if we hand knit that would be a clean edge. That's all for Madewell. I like that it doesn't have a million pages like H&M. But once again, can somebody tell me why this is $336? Our last store that we'll look at today is Reformation. Reformation, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they have the same popularity as they used to a couple years ago. I remember a couple years ago when everyone was like, oh my god, Reformation. Every wedding you went to, there were like 4 girls wearing Reformation dresses. I don't know if that's necessarily the case anymore. Also, my main gripe with Reformation was that I think they tried to change this a little bit, but every model on the site looks the same. They're all like, I was like, I don't look like this, so obviously the body doesn't come with the dress, so I'm not going to look like whatever the model is wearing. That's a big thing with every fashion brand, I suppose, but I always just felt like they were very catering to a very specific audience that wasn't me sometimes. Okay, we're looking at sweaters. Oh, all right. Oh, oof. Right off the bat, the prices. I've unknowingly done this in a $1 sign to $2 sign to $3 sign way, but right off the bat, everything is a lot more expensive because they're supposed to be technically question mark wink wonk a environmentally conscious brand. Let's see. Okay, this is Dana. This is Dana Cashmere Crew sweater for $168. This is 50% cashmere, 50% cotton. Is it false advertising or misleading advertising to say that it's a cashmere sweater when it has 50% cotton? I think we're getting into, like, there was a time where everything was very oversized. I am personally a fan of oversized on top and skinny, small on the bottom, but I feel like we're going towards like skinny on the top and oversized on the bottom, or skinny on top and skinny on bottom in terms of like clothing silhouettes. The construction of this looks alright, except for around the neck. I don't know if it's getting wobbly wobbly like that because of the way that the model is posing, or if that's just the way that it is. Yeah, I don't know. Not much to say about it. It's very basic. Hand wash and dry flat. That makes sense. Okay, so here it says this is a fine gauge recycled cashmere blend sweater knit, 90% recycled cashmere and 10% cashmere. So what's the truth? Is it 100% cashmere or is it 50% cashmere and 50% cotton? I don't know. Okay, but this comes in a bunch of colors, like stripes is another one. It's a little bit better because like the stripes are matching on the arm and the body. I mean, it's 8 times the price of the H&M one, so it better match stripes. I like this kind of this kind of cardigan is very inspired by like Chanel, right? Like the Chanel jacket, tweed jacket. These buttons, I don't know, gold can be a little bit of a hit or miss. Depending on the type of material you used for it, it can look a little cheap, I think. Cotton is an interesting choice, but I guess it's because it's holey. It just makes a little bit more sense for it to be warm weather. Oh my god, it comes with shorts. And I know that these are supposed to have a little bit of shorter in the arms look, but I mean, the model is very tall, I'm sure. So if I was wearing it, it would maybe would hit a little bit more like where it's supposed to hit, like right here, versus like looking very bracelet length. What stitch pattern is this? I have no idea. It just looks like eyelets, and then the edging is like garter but doubled over. I guess that's an interesting way to do this detail. It kind of looks like webbing when it's this tightly knit garter. So that's a nice little detail. Oh, I like this. I like the navy version of this a lot. The cut of the sweater, you can tell, is done in a jacket fashion because it's got these set-in sleeves. I think they could have cut the armhole a little bit smaller, a little bit closer to the armpit maybe, so that it doesn't like gape as much here. Oh, and it only goes to XL. I thought Reformation expanded their size range. Maybe that was an imaginary article that I dreamed up in my head. This vest. Okay, halter sweater vest. I feel like somebody has recently just released something like this, so I'll have to do a little bit of research. And then it's a halter style, very 90s, early 2000 inspired, I think. I don't know how I feel about tortoiseshell buttons here with this. I feel like tortoiseshell is a little bit more like naturally feeling and then more rustic versus like this is supposed to be a little bit more sleek. So I probably would have just done like black shiny buttons or something. This is brioche, it looks like, almost. I guess to kind of give the fabric a little bit more body so that it fits like a vest and not something like loosey-goosey. Medium weight cotton sweater knit. Okay, cotton makes sense once again. It's going to be a little bit thicker and has more body to it. Okay, we got ribbed sweater tank. This is also, I feel like there's also a rose knitwear design that looks like this. Or maybe it was lapel. But I feel like this kind of very raised neckline has been very popular. And then the shoulders showing and this coming down very straight on the sides on the arm. I personally don't really look good in these. Like I need this area to be a little bit more open or at least have like a pointed shape to it. Otherwise I look like I'm choking. Once again, cotton. So we're seeing a lot more natural fibers. Actually, has it been all natural fibers at Reformation? I mean, I guess that makes sense. The more higher in price you go, the more natural fibers that they use. Alright, we have more basic, closer fitting cardigans. The silhouettes are getting smaller on the top, more close fitting, which is understandable, but I feel like my main thing with round neck cardigans that are smaller is that I feel like maybe for the sizes, they design it to be too small. I know that's part of the look, but I don't like it when the neck part looks like it doesn't have enough room to actually like fit around the neck. Like I feel like if this model buttoned all of this up, it would gape up here. You know what I mean? Okay, this is also cotton with a little bit of nylon to give a stretch because it is a close-fitting garment. Okay, so this is it's fine gauge yarn, but it's not, you can tell that this is not a cut and sewn cardigan because there's these decreases that you can see here. So this is, I guess this is supposed to be like a better quality than something that is like just cut and sewn. But it's also $150. Ooh. It's like asymmetrical with a skinny scarf. Very 90s inspired. I would be worried about the left, well, I guess in the model's view, this is the right bob. I would be afraid of her just coming out of the top a little bit. But I think the idea is interesting. Definitely a lot more like interesting designs here, or like varied designs. I think knitwear generally is like really expensive to produce, which is why there aren't a lot of variety in styles in the more affordable brands you get. And Reformation is supposed to be a more like higher end whatever brand, so they do a lot more with different styles. But overall, I would say the style that we've seen is pretty consistent with the other places, like where it's like very, it's got a lot of like oversized, like classic-ish pieces and more trendy items that are like closer fitting. We're seeing a lot of like buttons or zippers or some sort of like closures, like instead of just straight up sweaters, which I think is cool and interesting. Well, if I keep scrolling, I'll be here forever. I hope that was entertaining. It turned into a roasting session. I did not intend to do that, but I think the moral of the story here is if you start making clothes, then you can never go back and you will always be nitpicking everything you see. I think also the experience would be different if I was like physically in the store. Online shopping definitely makes you go through things and criticize in a way that's like a little bit different from being in person. A lot of the stuff that I said was cute and was like, oh, maybe that's good quality, might not feel the same when you touch it in person. So this was just an exercise in my self-restraint. I will not purchase any of the stuff that we looked at today just because I don't need it. And also, as you can see, I had the mentality of I can make that. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Thanks for coming shopping with me. See you at the mall next week.